All right, so example 1 asks us to use our reference triangles or to use our unit circle to evaluate sine and cosine. What is the sine and cosine of each angle? So again, we're looking at your unit circle. So if we are given an ordered pair, x and y, cosine is your x value and sine is your y value. You want to write that down in the margins. Cosine is your x value and sine is your y value. All right, so I want you to look for 4 pi over 3 on your unit circle. 4 pi over 3. And can somebody tell me what degree that is? 240 degrees. Y'all see that? Looking at your unit circle, y'all see 240 degrees? All right, so the ordered pair there at 240 degrees is -1/2 and negative square root of 3 over 2. We wanted to find the sine of 4 pi over 3. We said sine was your y value, so the sine of 4 pi over 3 is negative square root of 3 over 2. All right, cosine of 4 pi over 3 is equal to -1/2 because cosine is your x value. So if you've got that unit circle, this is pretty easy, right? Just figuring out what sine and cosine are. All right, for B, 3 pi over 4. Let's see if we can find it on our unit circle. 3 pi over 4. Do y'all see it? 135, right? So my ordered pair at 135 is negative square root of 2 over 2 and positive square root of 2 over 2. So the sine of 3 pi over 4, so that's your x or y value, which one? Sine is your y value. And then cosine of 3 pi over 4 is your x value, so it's negative square root of 2 over 2. All right, moving down to example number 2. Use the Pythagorean identity, which says sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta is equal to 1. What is sine of theta if cosine of theta is square root of 2 over 2? So we're trying to figure out what sine of theta equals, okay? So we've got sine squared of theta is equal to, or not is equal to, plus cosine squared of theta. They said cosine of theta was square root of 2 over 2. So this is square root of 2 over 2 squared is equal to 1. If we square the square root of 2 over 2, we get sine of theta plus 2 over 4 is equal to 1. If you put the square root of 2 over 2 squared in your calculator, you would have got, it probably would have simplified it to you to, or for you to 1/2. So 1 minus 1/2 is just, oh, I forgot my squared here. Make sure you put the square. Sine squared of theta is equal to a positive 1/2. Well, it's still not by itself. We just want sine of theta. We don't want sine squared of theta. So to get rid of the squared, we take the square root of everything. So now I've got sine of theta is equal to the square root of 1, which is 1, over the square root of 2. But can I have that radical in my denominator? No. So to get rid of it, we multiply everything by the square root of 2. The square root of 2 times 1 is the square root of 2. Square root of 2 times 2 is just 2. So sine of theta is equal to the square root of 2 over 2. And truthfully, I'm going to leave this up here for a second, then I'm going to pull up my unit circle. Do you see how it says that cosine of theta is square root of 2 over 2? So cosine was our x values, right? And it said that it was between 0 and pi over 2. So we really didn't have to do any work because it said it was between 0 and pi over 2. So here's 0 and here's pi over 2, right? Well, I have an x value right here of square root of 2 over 2. We could have just figured out that that was my y value instead of doing all that work. But sometimes it's good to do all that math work. All right, next part says, what is cosine of theta if sine of theta is equal to negative 0.8 and theta is in quadrant 4? So let's take a look at it. What is cosine of theta if sine of theta is negative 0.8? So I've got negative 0.8 squared, because I'm still using the same formula, plus cosine squared of theta is equal to 1. So this is telling us that theta is in quadrant 4. We're looking at cosine of theta. Let's take a look at my unit circle again. Cosine is your x values. When you look at your x values, over here in quadrant 4, they are all positive. You see that? So that means our cosine value has to be positive, okay? Just keep that in mind. So, can somebody put this in their calculator? Negative 0.8 squared. .64. All right. Is that what everybody else got too? 0.64 plus cosine squared of theta is equal to 1. So we want to get cosine squared of theta by itself, so I need to subtract 0.64. So what's 1 minus 0.64? 0.36. And now to get rid of the squared, what did we do in part A? We square rooted it, right? So we're going to square root it again. So can somebody tell me what the square root of 0.36 is? .6. So 0.6. Because you know when you take the square root, it's positive and negative. So that's why our answer is just 0.6, because if you want to put boxes around what they're actually looking for, you put 0.6 because we had to keep x positive because all your cosine values were positive in quadrant 4. All right, moving on to example 3. I want you to write these 6 formulas. So remember, I just told you that sine was equal to y, cosine equals x, tangent is going to equal to y over x, cosine is the reciprocal, cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. So instead of y over x, it's going to become x over y. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So instead of x over 1, it's going to become 1 over x. And cosecant is going to be 1 over y. All right. What is the tangent of each angle? Negative 3 pi over 2. That's negative. That's not on our unit circle. So in order for us to make it positive, we're going to add 2 pi. See what our reference angle is. So negative 3 over 2. Why did I add 2 pi? Because 2 pi is equivalent to 360 degrees. So it's going to be in the same exact spot. It's just going to be positive this time, okay? So what I would do on my calculator is I would have negative 3 over 2. You notice I didn't put the pi symbol with it. So I'll have negative 3 over 2 plus 2. And I get 1/2. Okay? So that is equivalent to pi over 2. Or 1 pi over 2, or same thing, right? So my ordered pair at 1 pi over 2, or pi over 2, is 0, 1. Do y'all see that on your unit circle? Y'all see pi over 2 right here? So 0, 1 is my ordered pair. So and I'm looking for the tangent. Tangent, we said, was y over x, 1 over 0. Can I divide anything by 0? No. So my answer for tangent of negative 3 pi over 2 is undefined. Did y'all's book write A twice like this? A and A? All right, now we're going to find tangent of 675 degrees. This circle only goes up to 360 degrees, doesn't it? So what's 675 minus 360? 315. All right, so a reference angle for this would be 315 degrees. And my ordered pair there at 315 degrees is square root of 2 over 2 and negative square root of 2 over 2, right? Y'all see that at 315? All right, so still we got tangent of 675 degrees. We've got y, which is negative square root of 2 over 2, divided by, and I'm just doing this because it's fractions, x square root of 2 over 2. Y'all remember what happens when you divide fractions? What do you do to that second one? You flip it and change it to multiplication, right? Negative square root of 2 over 2 times 2 over square root of 2. Guess what happens? Cancel, 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 cancel. But look, what am I left with? A negative. So that means my answer is -1. Tangent of 675 degrees is -1. Hit the green button and then that button right there. Yes. Hey, let me see this. And it may have told you. It had to be in degree mode. All right. Now they're adding a little something to us here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just scribble this out because it's not important to us in case we need more room, okay? You all good with that? All right, we were told to find the secant, the cosecant, and the cotangent for each angle. 210 degrees. My ordered pair at 210 degrees is negative square root of 3 over 2 and -1/2. All right, secant of 210 degrees is 1 divided by x. 1 divided by x. Well, we change it to multiplication. Y'all remember what we do to our fraction? We flip it, right? So now I've got -2, because 1 divided by anything is just itself. So -2 over the square root of 3. Can I have that radical in my denominator? No. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. So -2 square root of 3 over 3 is the secant of 210 degrees. I'm going to now find the cosecant of 210 degrees. That is 1 over y, correct? So the cosecant of 210 degrees is 1 divided by -1/2. We flip our 1 divided by anything is itself, but we have to flip that fraction, correct? Or if you wanted to write it anyway as -2 over 1. 1 times -2 over 1 is just going to be -2. So the cosecant of 210 degrees is -2. And then last, they wanted us to find the cotangent of 210 degrees. That's y divided by x. -1/2 times 2 over the square root of 3. Do y'all see how I already flipped it? I skipped this step right here. These cancel. So I have -1 over the square root of 3. I multiply both sides by the square root of 3. Negative square root of 3 over 3 is the cotangent Hey, why didn't y'all stop me? I said cotangent was y over x. What is that really? X over y. Happy Friday, right? X is negative square root of 3 over 2. Y is negative 1/2, so that's going to change to negative 2 over 1. Cancels. A negative times a negative is a positive. Positive square root of 3 over 1, which is just the positive square root of 3. All right, now we're going to find it for the All right, the cotangent, cosecant, and secant for each angle, but this is negative, so we're going to add 2 pi to it. So plus 2 pi. Remember, you're going to not put the pi symbols when you add up, so negative 10 over 4 plus 2. What'd y'all get? Negative 10 over 4 plus 2 should probably give you, all right, so negative pi over 2, right? That's still not on our graph, so what do we need to do again? Can we add another 2 pi? Yes. So negative 1/2 plus 2. All right. 3 over 2, so 3 pi over 2. My ordered pair there at 3 pi over 2 is 0, negative 1. 3 pi over 2 gives me 0 over negative 1 because that's at 270 degrees. Y'all see that? All right. We'll start with secant of negative 10 pi over 4. Secant is 1 over x. 1 over 0. 1 divided by 0 is undefined. Okay, cosecant of negative 10 pi over 4. Cosecant is 1 over y, so that's 1 over negative 1, which is equivalent to negative 1. And then cotangent of negative 10 pi over 4 is x over y, so 0 over negative 1, and that equals 0. All right, we're going to skip over example 5, and we're together. Yes, ma'am? Sure. All right, I want you to go, for homework, I do want you to do 5 through 11, okay? 5 through 11. But real quick, I want you to go back to page 176, and I'm going to put up the answers to the homework, and you're gonna tell me if you want me to work it, okay? Next Friday. Think about 10:40. So for 6 and 7, are there any questions? 6, okay. What about 8 or 9? 4. 4. Number 9? 4. Well, I may have missed. Did you look at your unit circle? Look at 300 degrees. Well, look. Yeah. So that's quadrant 4. That's quadrant 4 at 300 degrees, okay? Allie, for number 6, basically the reference angle wants to know what is it closer to, as opposed, like what x, like on the x-axis, what is it closer to? So if you're looking at your unit circle, 65 degrees is about in here, right? So it's definitely going to be closer to 0 than 180, right? So you'd say 65 minus 0, and that's how I got 65. Like for 145 right here, 145 is closer to 180, right? So I said 180 minus 145 to get 35. So 65 minus 0 equals 65, and 180 minus 145 gave me the 35. All right. Were there any questions about 10 or 11? All I did there was subtract 360. Sure. 13, I'll work it, and let me put the answers for 14 and 15 to see if I need to work those. For 14, my answer was negative pi over 6, and for 15, my answer was 8 pi over 3. All right, so 13, Layla. Any others? Okay. So for number 13, we had 7 pi over 4, right? We wanted to convert it to degrees. So in order for us to convert it to degrees, we multiply by 180 over pi. We cancel and we cancel, right? So now I have 7 times 180, which is 1260, divided by 4. 1260 divided by 4 gives me that 315. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right, make sure you do that homework over the weekend. I'll check it on Monday. And we are finished for today.